Hi, so if you have been following along on the SBA's Restaurant Revitalization Fund journey, then you know that there was some big news yesterday in that the SBA posted its first page, offering for the first time official guidance to the public on the terms of the Restaurant Revitalization Program. I thought I'd take a few minutes today to hop on and go through that page with you, just cover some of the high points and look at the sample application that they've posted. So first, who am I? My name is Mishti Deb with the law firm of Lasusa and Deb. I used to work at the SBA in 2005 through 2008. So my experience with the SBA's disaster relief program goes back that far. My partner, Rainey, also used to work at the SBA back when I did. And so she's also familiar with the SBA's disaster relief programs. When the COVID pandemic started last March, our firms really kind of jumped in assisting our clients with the EIDL and PPP programs. Now we have clients who are wanting to use ours for the Shuttered Venue Operator Grant and this Restaurant Revitalization Fund. So we're making it our business to keep as up to date as possible with all of these new programs. However, we understand that not everyone can afford to use outside help. And so we are putting this information out there to help you if you're having trouble understanding what's out there. And as always, if you have questions, you can give us a call. I wanted to let you know that even though I have that much experience with the SBA program and we've been helping people with EIDL loans for a very long time, and then more recently with the COVID EIDL, PPP, SVOG, and now Restaurant Revitalization Fund program, I can't in good conscience say that I'm a really deep expert with lots of experience with the Restaurant Revitalization Fund because it's brand new. In fact, the applications haven't launched yet. So no one has a lot of experience with how the application process will work. So if someone is reaching out to you and saying that they have that kind of experience, please be cautious. The second thing I wanted to go over with you before we jump right into the application is that we always want to make sure that everything that we are reporting on the application is accurate, true, and honest. The reason why is this is the federal government and this is taxpayer money. So rest assured that these loans will be at some point in time audited. And if you're found to have misrepresented anything on the application or in fact intentionally misrepresented anything on the application, there will be civil and criminal penalties. So if you're working with someone who is perhaps encouraging you to not be truthful and honest or fudge the numbers in some way, please note that that is a red flag. So let's jump in and look at the actual page, shall we? So here is the brand new Restaurant Revitalization Fund page. If you're wondering how to get here, you can go to SBA.gov, and then on any page that you land on, up at the top, you will see this COVID-19 relief options, learn more. And that will take you to this page. And you see all of the different programs are listed here. And the program that you're looking for would be the Restaurant Revitalization Fund. It has this cute chef with a little mask on. And so you'll click that to learn more. And that will take you to the main page that just launched yesterday. And this page is going to be your best friend. This is where all of the official information is going to be launched. And if you're worried about whether or not you'll get updates, please sign up right here at this bar under program details to receive SBA alerts and emails. I also suggest that you follow the Independent Restaurant Coalition's website and restaurant.org and sign up for updates with them, as well as follow the SBA at SBA.gov on Twitter. This is where they have been dropping their most up-to-date information. And so if you want to know everything as soon as it happens, this Twitter page seems to be where they are posting that information. So let's hop into the Restaurant Revitalization page. Program details. It talks about the American Rescue Plan Act and how it set up this program. It talks about how it can cover each business for losses up to $10 million, but no more than $5 million per physical location. It is one application per business, so please don't submit several applications if you're just one business. Right here under supplemental documents, these documents are your best friends. One is the Restaurant Revitalization Fund program guide, but the other is actually the sample application. So when you click on this, you'll be given the opportunity to download the application, which will take you to this page. And this is the actual application. Now, the application, when it comes out, might not 100% look like this because there may be some changes between now and when the program officially rolls out, because they are going through 2 weeks of beta testing. So we do expect some of these questions to be tweaked. So just because you go through this application and you filled it all out and you're 100% confident that you have that information right, when the application portal opens and you actually fill the information in, be sure you're reading the questions carefully because they may have changed. Then that's not the SBA trying to get you. It's just that as they go through their beta testing and their sample testing, they will find certain issues and they will decide to change the application. So you will find the most recent changes on that main restaurant revitalization page under the FAQs as they move along. And every time they update, there'll be a new FAQ and there'll be asterisks next to the things that have been changed. So as you can see, this is the application. Now, before we start going through that, I want to just go through everything that's on the main page. So who can apply? These are all of the categories of businesses that can apply. In short, if you're serving food and beverage as part of your business, then there's a possibility that you will be able to qualify under the Restaurant Revitalization Fund program. How to apply. Now, this is important because it's very different from the other SBA programs. SBA will have an official portal, just like they do with the EIDL loan and with the SVOG program. However, not only will they have a dedicated restaurant revitalization portal, but you are also going to be able to apply through the point of sale restaurant partners. So if you are using one of those larger, more established point of sale restaurant software programs, then you may be able to apply for RRF directly through that program. And the idea is that that would be advantageous because a lot of your revenue documentation would be coming from that actual point of sale software. So that's something that they've done to make it easier and more convenient for restaurants that are using that. It also makes a big point here to say that there's no necessary registration with SAM. There's no need for a DUNS and a cage number. So if you haven't been following from early March, you don't know, but there was some immediate alarm that people would have to get the SAMs, DUNS, and cage because that is what's required for the Shuttered Venue Operator Grant Program, which is sort of the predecessor to this Restaurant Revitalization Fund program. We do expect that if these two programs are very successful, that we'll probably see additional programs in this space, like perhaps a dedicated grant or loan program for the travel industry and hospitality. So what documents are you going to need now that you know that you fit into one of the categories that can apply? Well, you're going to need the application form, which we were just looking at, but you're also going to need your tax documents and documents that evidence your revenues. The calculation for how much grant money that you will be eligible for comes from revenues, and so you'll have to provide documentation to the SBA that proves the numbers that you are submitting. So this could be your tax returns, and I highly suggest if you have the time and opportunity to go ahead and file your 2020 tax return, because ideally, if you have your 2019 and 2020 tax returns, this will be the easiest and most efficient and reliable way for you to authenticate your revenues for your business. If not, you can use the point of sale documentation, you can use financial statements and profit and losses for 2020. You are also going to have to fill out a tax release form, which will allow the SBA to pull your 2019 taxes. And you're also going to have to disclose your PPP loan amount. Do not misstate your PPP loan amount. That is another SBA program. So they have ways of authenticating whether that number is accurate or not accurate. Now, they may not catch it on the first time when they are issuing grants, but eventually they will catch it, and I don't want you to get in trouble. So please be honest in all of the numbers that you are applying. If you are in the sort of alcohol industry with a tasting room, a brewery, a wine, a distillery, or a bakery, there are some additional requirements for you to show that a certain amount of your gross receipts actually comes from point of sales in at your location. And there's documentation that you will have to supply in addition to those other documents that other businesses have to apply. The same goes for if you're an inn or like a B&B. You'll have to show that you're actually getting most, at least a third of your revenue from food and beverage sales. Otherwise, the program is going to put you more into the category of being primarily a hotel. And if you're primarily a hotel, you won't qualify. Again, that doesn't mean you need to make up numbers or manipulate numbers so that you qualify for the program. Be sure that your numbers are as accurate as possible. This part is extremely important, when to apply. So there's going to be a priority period for priority applicants, and then a period where the applications are open to everyone. I want to take a minute to stress here that it's pretty well known that this program doesn't have enough money for everybody, and it is first come, first serve. So everyone is recommending that you be prepared before the portal opens and that you apply as soon as you can. If you're in the priority period, a group, that you apply on the first day that the portal allows priority period applicants to apply, and that if you're not, that you apply on the first day that the portal allows for non-priority applicants to apply, because we do expect the funds to run out, and it is first come, first serve. However, don't panic when the funds run out, because the SBA is strategically trying to get as many people to apply as early as possible. So when the funds do run out, they can immediately go back to Congress and get more funds. And they do expect to be successful in accomplishing that. However, it's not guaranteed. So if you have the ability to be prepared and apply as soon as you're eligible to apply, please do so. Now, I don't have a magic ball. I can't tell you if it's going to run out the first day or the second day or, the seventh day. So just do put in your application as quickly as you can. So how do you know if you fall into this priority group of the first 21 days or not fall into the priority group? Well, so the priority group is supposed to help those businesses which are more disadvantaged or owned by particularly socially and economically disadvantaged groups. So in order to fit into this category, your business would have to be owned by women, veterans, or socially and economically disadvantaged groups. And this includes all kinds of different ethnicities or racial and cultural backgrounds that have experienced bias. So, this would include Asians, Pacific Islanders, anyone from the subcontinent. All of those different ethnicities do qualify as a socially and economically disadvantaged group. Now, what is really key here is this is a different metric than other metrics for having to qualify for women-owned or veteran-owned. The SBA is allowing you to self-certify, so you don't need a separate certification saying that you're women-owned or veteran-owned, but you can also mix and match. I'm going to repeat that again. You can mix and match to get to that 51% ownership in order to qualify. That means you can have some owners that are women, some owners that are veterans, some owners that are of a particular ethnicity or racial group that qualify. And if the sum of their ownership is 51% or more, then my understanding is that will allow you to qualify for priority in this application process, and you could apply within that first 21 days. So that is very different from the other SBA programs. Another thing that is different from the other SBA programs, and we didn't talk about here, is the affiliate definition. So the affiliate definition is not going to be your traditional SBA definition of what qualifies or doesn't qualify for an affiliate. The RRF has its own definition for what is and isn't an affiliate. So if you are a restaurant owner or a restaurant business that has several locations or several affiliates, you will want to specifically review that part of the guidance to make sure that you're disclosing the affiliates that you have or don't have as appropriate. This part goes through a set aside. So they've set aside particular bundles of funding for particular businesses so that all of the money doesn't go just to all of the big companies the way we saw happening with the first round of PPP early last year. Okay, so now you know that you're qualified, you know what documents you need, you know when you can apply once the portal launches, and then how do you know how much money you're going to get, right? So there are basically three different calculations you can use to calculate what your loan amount would be. And the application itself actually has tables that help you to calculate this amount exactly. So when we go through the application, you'll see how to fill it out and what numbers you'll get. But in summary, if your business operated before January 1st of 2019, it's going to be your 2019 gross receipts minus your 2020 gross receipts minus PPP funds. So if you've received PPP loans, that it gets deducted from your grant amount. Why is that? Because you already got PPP money and that's a forgivable loan. And so in theory, that would have been forgiven. And so, there's like a cap on how much free money the government is giving out at the moment. So that could change. What if you didn't have a business that existed prior to January 1st? Well, if you started in January 2019, then you can use either calculation 2 or calculation 3. So if you fit in this category, then you might want to do both calculations to see which one is more beneficial to you. The first calculation being 2019 monthly gross receipts, averaged. So if you were in business for only 4 months, then you would take that 4 months, total it up, and then divide it by 4, and then multiply it by 12 to get your average, your 2019 estimated gross receipts. That it would be the gross receipts or gross revenues that you would have had in 2019 had you been open for all of 2019, and then the same minus your 2020 gross receipts minus PPP. However, what if you weren't in business until 2020, or you maybe invested into the business, but you haven't opened yet? You can still qualify, but the calculation is slightly different. It is calculation number 3, which again, you can use this if your business started in 2019 as well. The amount spent on eligible expenses between February 15th of 2020 and March 11th of 2021 minus gross receipts minus PPP loan funds. So if you're a little bit worried about whether you're doing the calculation correctly, when we look at the application form, there'll actually be tables that walk you through it. Again, 5 million per location, not to exceed 10 million per applicant. And for the purposes of this program, gross receipts will not include money received from the PPP program, money received from the EIDL program, the Targeted EIDL grant, and various other CARES Act grants for the COVID pandemic relief, and any Section 1112 payments. Allowable use of funds. What can you use it for? Another thing that makes this program very, very nice is that you can use it for a lot more things and you have a lot more flexibility than you would have under PPP. So you can use this for business payroll costs, including sick leave, payments on business mortgage obligations, payments on rent, payment on debt, payment on utility payments, business maintenance expenses, construction of outdoor seating. Because of the pandemic, sometimes restaurants were allowed to have seating outside, so that makes you can make modifications to your business to make it more pandemic friendly. Business supplies, business food and beverage expenses, covered supplier costs, and business operating expenses. If you need any help with your application, there is a phone number here provided, or you can contact your local SBA district office. Haven't had a ton of success contacting the SBA district offices. I think they're not getting the information as rapidly as some of the other industry organizations are. And if you do call this one phone number, just be prepared to wait for a long time and know that they don't represent you. So they have to be very careful in telling you what the application means, explaining to you what the program is about, but staying away from actually advising you on how to fill out the application because they don't represent you. Okay, so let's take a minute and look at the form that they have posted, the sample application form. So basic information here, your business, your DBA, your address, your EIN, and your account information. Then it's going to go through and it's going to ask you for the specific information, tax ID, percentage ownership, and address for each owner of the company who has at least 20% or more. Because it's only the owners that own 20% or more, notice that the sum of these may not equal up to 100%, and that's okay. And that you're allowed to include more in a separate, I'm assuming it'll be an upload, or you'll have some way of adding more if you have more than 4 owners that own 20% or more. So then you'll have to select what kind of organization it is. Just be careful. If you're an LLC that's taxed as an S Corp, that doesn't make you an S Corp. It still makes you an LLC. So be sure to fill that out properly. The applicant must respond to all of these questions. Now, these questions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way down, these are, for the most part, eligibility questions. So they are a direct reflection of what the statute says a business needs to be in order to qualify for grant funds. So be sure you answer this question properly. And remember, be honest about the SBA PPP number and be honest about the affiliate information. Okay, this is where it could be easy to get tripped up if you're familiar with ordinary SBA stuff and you're not familiar with the restaurant revitalization affiliate rules. Remember that if you are a franchisee, you are still eligible for the restaurant revitalization fund, provided you don't have or exceed the number of locations that is capped under the program. Is your franchise listed in the SBA directory? If you don't know, be sure to look that up and have that information before you start the application. And let's see, anything else? What date did you begin sales? Here we get to the tables. So remember how I said it might be confusing when you hear how to calculate the application. Here are the actual tables where you will be filling in the numbers for your gross receipts from your tax return and your PPP loan amount. And this walks you through the calculation. So if you have a business that started before January 1st, 2019, table 1 is your friend. Make sure you know how to fill out all of that information before you apply. If you have applicants that were partially operational in 2019, but not before 2019, this is the table for you. And then if you started between January 2020 and March 10th of 2021, and for applicants that have not yet opened, that means if you're planning on opening a restaurant and you've spent money and you want to open in 2021, you could also qualify, and this is the table for you. Okay, then it's asking you to fill in the final numbers that you get from calculating all of the stuff in the tables, and then it asks you to state what you plan on applying the funds towards. So these are the eligible things that you can use the money for. So they're asking you to disclose what you want to use the money for. So do think about that. These programs are typically audited afterwards to see how people spent the money. And if they didn't spend the money appropriately and they didn't spend the money on allowable things, people can get into trouble. So avoid that by giving some thought into what you are actually going to spend the money on. And then here's the priority documentation questions. They're going to have you self-certify that the owners are women, that the owners are veterans, or that the women or that the owners are part of an economically distressed or sociologically distressed group. So be sure that you have done that calculation and make sure you get 51% before you jump in to apply during the priority period. If you're questioned about that, you can give us a call. You can give the SBA a call to make sure that you have done that calculation correctly ahead of time. Okay, if you don't qualify, then you're just going to start your application when it opens up to those who are not in the priority period. The last but not least, this is all of your tax documentation for your gross receipts, and IRS Form 4506T. This allows the SBA to actually pull your return directly from the IRS and double check it against the numbers that you are disclosing in the application. That makes up the heart of the application. And then what happens here is that they're asking you to self-certify all of these things that will make you eligible as a recipient of under the program. Make sure that you read these questions correctly and make sure that you answer them honestly. And then basically we're at the end of the application. So again, make sure you go through the site thoroughly, make sure you go through the application thoroughly, and sign up for updates here on this page, which is the SBA's Restaurant Revitalization Fund page. I would sign up for updates with the Independent Restaurant Coalition. I would sign up for updates with the restaurant.org website, as well as sign up to get notifications when the SBA follows posts on Twitter, and of course follow us too. If you have any questions or concern, feel free to give us a call and set up an appointment. We are more than happy to answer the questions as best as we can. We expect there to be more guidance and changes to the program as things developed. So if you're planning on applying to Restaurant Revitalization Fund, best of luck to you, and have a great afternoon.